Time for some spread lines, hot topics that collide with sporting events on information that you need to know specifically coming up this weekend in the NFL. And if we look at the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Carolina Panthers, game number 1 of Wild Card Weekend, Joe, 4:30 p.m. on your Saturday. This line has been sitting at 10.5 all week. Hasn't really moved all that much. Total 46.5. But if we can pop up that meme for Andre the Giant where it's like, oh no, there's rain in the forecast, Joe. Uh-oh. Last time we saw the Rams in Carolina in the rain, didn't work out so well. What's your spread line for Saturday?
Well, we are actually starting to see a little bit of movement in some spots, Donnie, but we're still seeing a big ticket count and big money on the Rams. But we are starting to see some tens popping up in the marketplace. Now, does that mean that, of course, the pros are running to the window and back in Carolina? No. But what it tells me is since we haven't seen any real big move back up, I mean, at 10.5, Donnie, you're already in no man's land, right? Key number of 10. So does it get to 11? Does it get to 11.5? I'm kind of shocked it hasn't at this point. Tend to believe that there might be a little bit more money hitting the market on Saturday before kickoff here, but I think it's going to be all one way. I think the pros and the Joes are all going to be aligned on the Rams come Saturday afternoon.
See what happens here. How about that Saturday night game in Chicago? A little bit of flurries, maybe a little bit of snow in the forecast there. Cold weather as usual in the Windy City, but now it's substantial across the board, Joe. We used to have a little bit of nice mix. +1 here, -1 there. That's not the case. Looks like -1.5 is taking control for the Green Bay Packers as a favorite over the Chicago Bears. That total sitting at 45.5. Josh Jacobs just said he feels the best he's felt in 6 weeks here. Green Bay going in as the favorite over the 2 seed. How about that? What's your spread line?
Well, we just talked about the pros and Joes likely on the same page with the Rams. They are not on the same page in this game. We have got nothing but tickets and money on the Bears, and yet this line continues to move towards the Green Bay Packers. So we have got the public is looking at this line and going, how are the Bears the 2 seed, an underdog in any way, shape, or form? And yet here it is, Donnie. We are still looking. And again, 1.5, pretty consistent across the market. We're starting to see 45s in the market as well, which tells me weather conditions, maybe not a whole lot of offense here. It's going to be cold. Make sure you understand what that's going to be Saturday night there. But nobody seems to necessarily be expecting a shootout. But it is clear that the pros and Joes believe, yeah, there are 2 different better teams on the field here. The public loves the Bears. The pros, they're backing the Packers.
Yes, they are. And by the way, also, if you're talking about that number dropping a little bit, you get 2 healthy running games in a playoff game in colder temperatures. Yeah, they're going to run the ball. That line is going to keep on pounding lower. We'll see if that ends up at 45.5 or lower once we get to game day. Let's go to Sunday afternoon. Great start here at 1 o'clock, Joe. Buffalo's headed to Jacksonville. Once again, the higher-seeded team is at home and an underdog of -1.5. This line has been substantial all week. Like, we haven't even had those floating numbers like we had in Chicago, Joe. It's been Buffalo all week. And also, similar ticket counts here. You're saying people, wait a second, Jacksonville's red hot. They're at home and they're an underdog. I'll take them. Looks like we might have a divide in this game as well, Joe. What's your spread line for Sunday's Buffalo-Jacksonville game?
Oh, you nailed it there, Donnie. This is another pros versus Joes divide here because the Joes are all over Jacksonville going, what are we doing here? I mean, they're playing at home in Duval County. Yes, that's because that means something apparently now. But you're continuing to see the tickets and the money rolling in here. But why is this line still -1, 1.5, Donnie? Well, that's because there is some influential bettors that are line freezing this. And I think that's going to continue as we get a little bit closer to kickoff over the weekend, Donnie. And listen, I don't blame people for jumping on Jacksonville. They have been absolutely amazing. But when you look at experience and you look at the strength of schedule here, they have not beaten teams like the Bills at all this year. And I think the pros are siding with the experience and the Josh Allen factor in absolutely beautiful conditions, by the way, on Sunday.
Hey, we got Wild Card Weekend this weekend. There's no doubt about that. We will be focused on Saturday for a doubleheader. We have 3 games on a Sunday and 1 game on Monday Night Football, and the SportsGrid Network's going to have you covered on all of those games, but not just the games that are going on. There's things happening off the field, which means teams are looking for head coaches, teams are firing coaches, teams are looking to say, you know what? Let's get prepared for the draft and hopefully have a better 2026. I'll tell you guys that didn't have a good 2025 right now. It's Rashee Rice as we head into 2026. Coming in to the NFL out of college, the knock on Rashee Rice wasn't that he was a fantastic athlete and we don't think he's going to be able to make it in the NFL. It was the off-the-field issues. With Andy Reid in Philadelphia, never would have put up with this, but now Andy Reid in Kansas City, you know what? A couple of these guys on the team here, if we keep them straight, can actually help and we can win championships, which they have. Rashee Rice had a terrible incident last offseason where he almost caused fatalities by racing his friends in Lamborghinis and Ferraris and said, okay, he gets a suspension, just try to stay clear. Now we see Rashee Rice popping back up in the media for what? Alleged abuse on an ex of his who has his 2 kids at this point right now. This isn't a good look. And sometimes it's about the court of public opinion, not actually things going through to the court system here. Tough look for Rashee Rice, maybe even a worse look for the Chiefs if they keep him around.
Yeah, it's, she didn't name him, but on an Instagram post, she was posting pictures of her with a bloody lip, scratches, bruises. I mean, just awful stuff here. And she basically lays it all out that it's been like that forever and that she's known him and that he is not what he pretends to be. I mean, a whole lot of allegations. Never named him. But obviously, I mean, the mother of his 2 kids, they've been together for a long time. They did break up a couple of months ago. Either way, when you're 25 years old, you just spent 30 days in jail, 5 years probation, you got a second chance. You got like another lease here, an opportunity to be able to do good. And then this happens. And whatever led up to it, doesn't matter. The fact that this had been going on, if true, that we've seen the last of Rashee Rice likely.
Probably have here. Haven't seen the last of Todd Bowles, even though I believe he's 36 and 36 with the Buccaneers, a couple division championships here. Here's the tough part, Joe, for me. When I'm running an organization myself, you can find good defensive coordinators. You can't find great offensive coordinators. They had a couple in their building the last 2 years, and it's not Todd Bowles' fault. He was the head coach, and it is what it is, but you lose those top guys to other teams because they get to become head coaches here. See what Liam Cohen is doing there in Jacksonville. Maybe he could have done the same if he stayed in Tampa Bay, but Todd Bowles going to stick around. As Joe always points out, all right, you fire Todd Bowles. You get Matt Nagy or Vance Joseph? Like, right. You know what I mean? You might as well keep what you got with a guy who's won some things at least, right?
Yeah, they're always there. I mean, they've been in the postseason how many years now in a row with him at the helm? I mean, this is not a guy that has been struggling. It was an off year. They kind of fell apart here. Injuries kind of took their toll, but the Bucs have never really been that kind of organization where they're just, let's fire a guy a year or 2 years into it. I mean, he's been there a long time, Todd Bowles. And yeah, I think at 62 years old, he deserved a shot to return for his 5th season. And I think they'll be good if they got a couple of decisions to make in the offseason. But yeah, I think the injuries were a big part of why they landed where they did this year. But I think a good bounce back year for Todd Bowles next year.
By the way, I don't even think we needed a statement on this next story here. The Saints committing to Tyler Showdowns, their starting quarterback in 2026. He proved it on the field. He even made a charge at maybe being offensive rookie of the year, despite only playing a handful of games. From what I've seen of him, you judge these guys, and a lot, you say, it doesn't have a lot around him. What did you want him to do? He had a bad season, like Shedeur Sanders. That's the opposite here with Shuck. Like, Shuck was a bright spot there for the New Orleans Saints and winning football games down the stretch in spite of the actual team that was put around him here. I like Shuck. I'm intrigued for 2026. He deserves to be that starter.
Listen, the reason that you're not picking at the top of the draft and have an option at picking a new quarterback is because you finally played him and took out Spencer Rattler, and he won you enough games where, he's going to be your quarterback. You don't get to choose a new quarterback next year at the top of the draft because he played the way he did. So I'm looking forward to what he can do with some real weapons and now a year under his belt. I think this could be a great story moving forward.
Yeah, by the way, also, the next story here, Justin Herbert taking snaps. Wait a second, he's a quarterback who's been playing all along. This guy, 1 week out of surgery, had trouble under center. Now we're a couple weeks later. You can add more to your offense here. Justin Herbert looks like he's almost back to normal heading into New England.
Yeah, and that's great news for the Chargers and for Harbaugh. So yeah, it was a matter of time. But again, we've talked about it. Nobody tougher in the league than Justin Herbert. Should be the MVP.
No, I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of really good spots in this situation. Also, we've seen Herbert take games over. The problem is that offensive line going to hold up against New England? A lot of those questions will be answered this weekend for sure. Off seasons, a lot of fun, a lot of changing parts here. You're getting that in Atlanta right now. But like when you grow up as a kid, it's like, well, what do you want to do for like a living? Like as a kid, like I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman, I want to be the president of the United States. As you grow older and you say, you know what? I just want to be in an NFL franchise some way, shape, or how. Like general manager seems like maybe the most fun position you can have. You know what's even better than that? Being like head of football operations when you've already been an NFL success story like Matt Ryan is. Like, can you imagine getting paid probably a few $1,000,000 to sit at like a big table, have lunch all day, check in with the general manager, show up to the games. The owner likes you. Hey, what do you think about this? Well, I think if we get a wide receiver in the offseason, I'll tell my general manager, that sounds great, Matt. Let's go have some mimosas and watch this football game play out. Matt Ryan looks like he has a position created for him in Atlanta that seems like it'll be a dream position. Hey, Matt, just lend us your ear and tell us what you think, and we'll pay you a lot of money for it.
The cushiest of cushy jobs, right?
What a great job. What a great job.
I mean, and he left a pretty good job too, right? Sitting in front of a camera, just like dribbling words out there. And again, like, yeah, okay, boring is all, you know what. But I got to tell you, that's the kind of gig we're all looking for. I think Tom Brady also is experiencing a little bit of being a consultant of sorts for organizations here. I think that's. And listen, even Troy Aikman's getting involved, right? Is in Miami hiring him, Donnie, to be a consultant for their search on a G. Well, I got to tell you, former quarterbacks getting the jobs of all jobs here right now in the NFL.
How about this? Peacock has announced a feature that changes for subscribers to potentially mute the announcers and change the crowd noise levels during the broadcast. Now, for me, the Philadelphia Eagles, like if you want to listen to Merrill Reese, he's a legend. He's lost his fastball, but he's still a legend. Love to hear that guy's voice here. The Flyers, they're just fine. For me in the city of Philadelphia, I don't think we have Peacock, or I don't know how many times Peacock calls games, but the Sixers have the worst broadcast team in the NBA led by Kate Scott. Can't listen to it. Nails on a chalkboard. They're horrendous. Same thing with my Philadelphia Phillies. Tom McCarthy is a Mets fan that calls Philadelphia Phillies games, and it drives me nuts. If I could mute those two and just sit back and enjoy the action, I love this move because, by the way, it seems like 99.9% of the people out there can't stand whoever calls the games anyway. It's a perfect feature, Joe.
Yeah, it is a great feature, except, most people aren't watching it with the sound on anyway, because it's probably one of a bunch of games that you're going to have as it is. So, yeah, I don't ever, usually, Donnie, whenever I put those games on, it's mute button because I've got 4 other games on that I have to watch as well. So, yeah, you don't want too much distraction and extra crowd noise, that's for sure.
I'm telling you, Tom McCarthy, again, calls the Phillies games. He's been doing it for at least a decade plus. When Pete Alonso would hit a home run against the Phillies, I swear he called it like the best home run he's ever seen in his life. And it's like, hey, wait a second. Who are you actually cheering for here at this point? How about this weekend's games? What hot ticket, what not ticket? Pittsburgh looks like they're resigned on the fact they're not going anywhere. Only $1.65 to get into the door. But how about Green Bay and Chicago? The Windy City is fired up for the monsters of the Midway here in a legendary rivalry that's going to take place on Saturday night. Close to $5 that get in number price, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be that's going to be a whole lot of fun there. But I think that, supply, demand, you got to know who the customer is too, right? In Chicago. I'm wondering, Donnie, what are those tickets during the season? I bet you they're probably not that far off from there, especially now that they're actually winning football games.
Look at that. I mean, people want to get in that building so bad because they know it's probably the last time they're going to watch Bears football for the season. So you might as well pay that ticket, enjoy it. And the Green Bay Packers are going there without Aaron Rodgers and say, we still own your franchise at this point. But I'm ready for football this weekend. I can't wait for it to play out. You take a look at the NFL, the NFC, and the AFC. You get that nice mix of NFC action on Saturday night, which is going to have the Rams taking on the Carolina Panthers, followed by Green Bay and Chicago. Then you say to yourself, ooh, those Philadelphia Eagles and San Francisco 49ers saving it up there for action on Sunday afternoon. And then you flip it over to the AFC. They're going to get battled. Here's tested from Buffalo and Jacksonville. And then on Sunday night football, that's going to be the Chargers and the New England Patriots. And Monday night football, Houston and Pittsburgh. 2 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday, 1 on Monday Night Football. And I always get back to this, Joe. I didn't like it at first because I always like the 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. But I got to tell you, man, it gives you some little extra kick to the week knowing that you go into a Monday with a playoff football game that night. I don't hate it at all anymore. I used to think I hated it.
No, I mean, listen, we get maybe one more great weekend here because we have a national championship game still to play. And obviously, teams will advance from this week. So enjoy this, Donnie, because the beginning tonight, straight through on Monday, this is the last full push for a weekend of full football.
Oh, man, it's been so nice so far, the changing of the seasons before you know it's going to be Major League Baseball. But if we take a look, Joe, the 2 games on Saturday, weather implications in both of those games. We don't really have that on Sunday in the 3 games or Monday Night Football other than just seasonal temperatures that are expected in these games. We look at Los Angeles and Carolina. Rain will be in the forecast for that game as the spread is listed at 10.5. Now, Green Bay and Chicago, snow is in the forecast. Not crazy snow, but accumulation may be around an inch during game time if things hit properly. If we look at both of these 2 games, Joe, which do you think will have more impact on weather? The rain in Carolina, which, by the way, it's not a cold rain. You're going to be like decent temperatures here, but it will rain. Green Bay and Chicago, cold conditions and snow. What's more impactful between those 2 weather events?
Yeah, anything with wind. I mean, wherever the wind shows up, Donnie, that's always going to have the biggest impact on a game. Not snow, not necessarily rain, but any combination of those 2 with double digit or, wind gusts and those type. That's the thing that's going to affect it more than anything else here. But, I mean, you ask the players and they'll tell you, I don't mind playing in the rain as long as it's not 20-mile-an-hour winds, we're good to go. So wind, wherever the wind goes, that's what you want to be very cognizant of this weekend.
And also understand this, too. When you're dealing with rainy conditions, and again, the NFL fields are unbelievable. Even with grass, yes. They're great drainage. But there's still an issue when you're on grass with rain. Not so much when you're on turf with rain as opposed to it. So if it is raining, they'll still be able to move the football. You'll still be able to get your feet and not have like a Rose Bowl scenario like, oh, my goodness, they got to squeegee the field. That's not going to be the case. But I am looking forward to those Saturday games. Interesting, between the 2. Blowout expected for Carolina or in the Carolina game because the Rams are the better team. But then again, Joe, a couple weeks ago, we saw rain in the forecast and it rained in Carolina, and Carolina came back to beat the Rams. Great stuff in the NFL this weekend as we keep getting you involved in the process and letting you know the information you need to. That's the winning bets. We'll be right back. You got college football tonight. You got college football Friday night. You got NFL action 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday night. An exciting week here at Sonny Right Side. It's Joe Ranieri. Now we welcome in Adam Kaufman to talk a little about that Chargers-New England game. But before we get there, we need to hear it. I mean, we see the social media post out here. There's a sharp divide. Drake Maye, Matthew Stafford, Adam Kaufman. Here's your stage. One last shot to prove to the people on who you think the MVP is this year. Go ahead. Let it rip.
Guys, it's Drake Maye. And I know I'm going to be accused of bias when I say that. It's relatively simple, though, honestly. This is, do you go with the guy who is winning in virtually every single category other than total touchdowns? Whether it's advanced metrics, traditional metrics, whatever statistic you want to throw at it, Drake Maye, to the eye, to the film, to the analytics, he is the guy versus the Legacy Award conversation, which honestly, I respect Matthew Stafford. He has had himself an excellent career. Is he really so good, though, that he's worthy of a Legacy Award? Which is, again, if that's your fallback, if that's the thing that even people like Tom Brady want to keep coming back to, well, Stafford, he had a great year in May. He's young. He's got plenty of time to win this thing again. That's just dumb. Who is ultimately the most deserving? And I know it doesn't necessarily work this way, but if we're going to, look at this award purely in the scope of value, who's more valuable to their team? If you take these quarterbacks off of their teams, and I've done the exercise on social media, got a lot of play of what if you switch them, what would that be? Forget that for a minute. Let's just say you went with their backups. If Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback this year for the Rams with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Sean McVay, obviously, what does that team look like? To me, probably still winning double-digit games. Whereas if Josh Dobbs is the quarterback for the New England Patriots with all of the weapons that Drake Maye has had to work with this year, even under Mike Vrabel, even with Josh McDaniels. What do the Patriots do? Do they win 14 games? Do they win 4 again? I mean, even if you want to call it 7 or 8, it is not remotely the same team. It's not a team that wins its division, that's competing for the number 1 overall seed, and that obviously is a threat in a wide open playoffs. But if I'm going to boil it down to the most simple argument that there is in the recent history, the last few decades of MVP voting, we know, generally speaking, it's a quarterback honor. A QB is going to win it. Other positions, you get Offensive Player of the Year. Beyond that, guys, more often than not, and I'm talking 90 some odd % of the time, you got to be a division winner, or you got to at least finish second in your division. Matthew Stafford finished 3rd in a very competitive division and was the 5 seed, or is the 5 seed in the playoffs. Historically, the MVP is never a 5 seed in the postseason. You got to win. You got to win at a much higher level. And I know the Patriots schedule, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? The past defenses that Maye faced, that Stafford faced, not overall teams, but past defenses, those were actually relatively comparable. So again, I could use the entire segment. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Joe can keep rolling his eyes, which people can't see. I promise you, Matthew Stafford is the more deserving. Doesn't mean, or pardon me, Drake Maye is the more deserving. Matthew Stafford doesn't mean he is not deserving. They're both deserving. Like last year, Allen versus Lamar. Somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. You can make a compelling case on both sides. For me, the edge goes to Drake Maye.
I love how you blah, blah, blah over the legit arguments against, but you just highlight things that absolutely don't matter. The bottom line is, you just said the greatest quarterback, the GOAT, who happens to have made his bones in New England, comes out and says, it's Matthew Stafford. He deserves to be. Schedule's better. Touchdowns are more. He lays it all out, and as a Patriot homer, and I think we can all say, you dismiss it as if he doesn't know what he's talking about. I think that speaks volumes as to who should be the MVP and who shouldn't. You're right, both deserving, but ultimately when the GOAT comes out and says Stafford's your MVP, I think it should carry a little weight.
We're going to find out, but to me, again, it's that quarterback fraternity of the old guys kind of sticking together, and that's not an anti-Drake Maye thing. It's a, like, I just think guys, you know, in that circle, right, view each other in a certain regard, a certain light, justifiably so, and say, you know, let's get him that one before he walks out the door, before he rides off into the sunset. And to me, that's just such a dumb argument for awarding a guy MVP. You don't get MVP for your career. You get an MVP for a singular season. And yes, Matthew Stafford, again, great numbers. But you know what? Like, why are we completely dismissing what these two guys did on the ground? Like, Drake Maye, because of rushing yardage. You know how many rushing yards Matthew Stafford had this year? One singular rushing yard versus Drake Maye, who had about 450. You put total yardage together, that's another category that Drake Maye wins. You know, unfortunately, and I hate to do this, but it fits my argument, so what the hell? You know, stat padding, from a stat padding perspective, Matthew Stafford, yeah, he had 46 touchdowns. He also had 13 from the 1 yard line when most quarterbacks are handing off to their running back. So if we're going to keep leaning into touchdowns, doesn't it kind of matter how you got them in part two?
But here's the problem I have with Adam, and you're right about that, because stat padding, a lot of people are going to look at final numbers. I actually bet on Drake Maye. One of my favorite bets was him throwing more than 2 touchdowns on Sunday, because I saw Matthew Stafford play and go, you know what, Vrabel, in a game, yes, they have to win, but there are ways that you can win by 4 touchdowns and say, you know what, Drake, you're going to get 3 to 4 touchdowns, because sometimes you just need that last taste in the mouth to try to push you over the top, which is why Drake Maye was like a minus 500 to win it the week before, and now is a minus 195 favorite for Matthew Stafford. Was there any talk in New England this week like, hey, those lining him up at wide receiver on the 1, have him throw a screen pass at the 1 yard line to get him 3 touchdowns? Because I firmly believe he throws 4 touchdowns on Sunday, he's still the heavy favorite. Like, that one weekend was a huge flip.
Yeah, and I saw your tweets, you know, calling coaching malpractice, all of these things. But I They're not engineered to try and win games in a certain style, a la, let's go out there and get our guy an award. They just want to win and get themselves ready for the playoffs. Team mentality around New England, fellas. I think we don't, Rabel might have cost himself Coach of the Year in the process too. Who knows?
Couchy Marketplace, baby. Who's ready to get after it here? Poly market action, pro football talk, and away we go. Sonny writes out it's Joe Ranieri. Spirited conversation we absolutely love, which includes Joe still holding out for a Justin Herbert ticket for the MVP, and he's hoping that some of these voters don't turn their cards in and watch the game this weekend. And if Herbert wins an NFL championship, he should be the MVP. But I digress. The AFC championship winner might come down to the Patriots, or it can go down to the Chargers, or it could be the Pittsburgh Steelers. You get the point, but right now the Denver Broncos in the Kalshi marketplace right now, the favorites to win the AFC, 28% chance, which means if you invest $100, you pay back $358 if the Broncos win it. Joe, Broncos number 1 seed, sitting back relaxing this weekend. Should they be the favorites, and would you invest in them?
What is the second choice? Is it Buffalo, or what is it?
New England. New England by 1%
England.
over Buffalo. Yes.
Wow. Listen, I would bet all three, Donnie. How's that treat you? Because I think all three have we already know Denver is advancing, right? So we already know Denver's waiting to play somebody. So if you like New England to beat the Chargers and you like Buffalo to beat Jacksonville, bet all three, because all three are going to increase in price by the time we talk about it again next week.
No doubt. And, buddy, you take a look at New England again. They got a tough game going up against the Chargers. The Chargers are only 6%. The Chargers go in there and win that game. And also understand this. This isn't like, 10.5 point spread. It's 3.5. It's not like, why do the Chargers even going to show up? Like, even if they lose, the odds makers are saying this should be a one-possession game late into the fourth quarter. So if you do invest in a 6% chance to win, not even the Super Bowl, just the AFC, $1,667 comes back to you. But as Joe pointed out, the goal isn't like, well, I picked the Chargers, and I just got to ride this out, and hopefully they win the AFC. No, the Chargers win. That 6% automatically doubles overnight because of the teams that are dropping out in front of them here, and you can cash out that ticket for a nice little investment price. For me, if I want to take a shot, it's probably not Denver. I like Denver. It's probably not New England, and it's still probably not Buffalo. Like, if I'm looking a little bit lower down, like Jacksonville, 14%, if they get by Buffalo, why not Jacksonville? They already showed they can go into Denver and win that game. Jacksonville at 14% here as an investment has my eye, Joe.
Well, and again, it's a great correlated bet, Donnie. If I'm backing Jacksonville to win outright at home against Buffalo, then I better take that future bet. I better take that, that future bet there with them winning it all at that price. Because, Donnie, if they do win, that's going to increase at least 10 cents, now, if not more, by the time we see it again next week. So I think that's a great correlated opportunity for folks. Back them in the game and back them in the future market.
By the way, let's flip it over to the NFL draft. We always talk about who's going to be the number 1 overall pick. Probably going to be Fernando Mendoza at this point, right? We all think that's going to happen, and he probably should be, and away he goes to the Vegas Raiders. But who's going to be that number 2 overall pick? We go to Polymarket right now. By the way, Polymarket. We love these markets, and we love to take a look at different, Kalshi marketplaces. Make it easier on us. Like the chances. Put the best chances up top so I don't have to scroll down. Because right now it goes, oh, look at that. Francis Mauigoa of the Miami Hurricanes could be. He's at a 6% chance. Wait a second. Now there's a 24, a 27, a 25, all the way down the list. Make it easier on the eyes, people. But by the way, who do you think, Joe, should be the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft? What guy for you gets that done?
Bane, period. Go with
Hurricane
defense.
Bane.
That's it. Hurricane Bane. Get it done, Donnie. Get it done. 29%. The Miami Hurricane. Listen, you need somebody that can actually rush the passer. There's a pretty good guy at Ohio State, too, as well. I think there's going to be a surprise up at the top, Donnie. I don't think it's just going to be quarterback. I don't think there's a ton of great quarterbacks in this draft to begin with. But I think there are better defensive guys, especially guys that can get the quarterback, and that's where I would focus.
And also, am I doing this wrong? Because I put in a $100 wager to buy Ruben Bain at 15%, and it says I win $159. So assuming that means $259 in total back, I think Kalshi includes your money back. So you have to sort of look at that a little bit different at this point. Sunday. Yes, we got action all weekend long. Thursday night football, Friday night football. Those are the college ranks. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday in the NFL. Let's take a look at that Sunday 1 o'clock game down in Duval County between Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence. The line all week has been a favorite towards the Buffalo Bills, the road team, and the lower seed at -1.5 and a total of 51.5. Some might say that's disrespectful. Vegas and the odds makers, they don't play disrespect. They play exactly what that line should be, whether you think it's a trap or not. Buffalo as a favorite, Joe. Once again, we'll start there. Agree or disagree?
Oh, no, I agree. And I think listen, we talked about this in spread lines, right? There is a clear divide between the pros and the Joes. The public is all over Jacksonville. I mean, we're seeing close to 70% of the tickets. We're seeing well over 55% of the money all going to Jacksonville. And yet this line remains the Bills -1 to win it. And listen, the Bills 28-13 straight up as road favorites under McDermott. They're also 5-2 in the wild card round in the postseason. So this team has been there. They have done this before. They never lose games that you expect them to win. Buffalo has the experience, has the right quarterback. They're going to handle business. I think Jacksonville will learn from this game. I think Jacksonville has to be something we consider to bet next year, Donnie. As soon as we possibly can, we'll look at Kalshi and Polymarket to see if they have any numbers on them next year, because I think this is going to be a great stepping stone for them for next year. But I think the Bills, too much Josh Allen, too much experience. I think they get the job done here.
If not now, when? Most people are going to say we're Josh Allen. No Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. You don't even have your nemesis out there in Kansas City as the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Can they get it done, or is Trevor Lawrence the new nemesis here for the Buffalo Bills? But also understand this. Sometimes you take a look at, patterns that actually happen. And I'm not a believer because I don't care what happened in 1987, 1988, 1989, whatever. But the Bills haven't won a road playoff game in 33 years. Well, Josh Allen didn't play 33 years ago as well. It is hard to win road playoff games. But does that streak sort of work into your handicapping or not at all, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's great. But what in the scope of things, it's just noise, right, Donnie? Because what in the world over the leg? This has no bearing on how is Josh Allen even 33 years old? Like, what are we talking about here? It really does not matter. The only thing that matters is this current team and the numbers and the trends that we have seen this year. I can tell you this, I wouldn't be running to the window to back the Bills early, because we all know takes them a half, Donnie, before they can get the engines rolling, and then they roll. So there are some current trends worth taking a look at in this game.
Taking a look at the San Francisco 49ers traveling east to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. This is one of those where you can't lose twice based off one game. Everything was in their grasp for the 49ers to have a bye week and the number one overall seed, but they lost to the Seattle Seahawks, who now in turn are division champions of the NFC West and also have the number one overall seed in the NFC and quite possibly the favorites here to get to the Super Bowl. But the Eagles are favored by 4.5 points in a total of 44.5. By the way, Joe, I tweeted something out this morning, which I get a kick out of. The Niners notoriously seem like they're injured way more than any other football team. And the story's coming out right now that a low-frequency electromagnetic field can degrade collagen, weaken tendons, and cause soft tissue damage. They actually have a electricity substation right next to the playing surface on the practice fields and the stadium out there at Levi Stadium, which I do think is hilarious. So I retweeted that. You might want to catch up on that. But the Eagles are the favorites here. The Niners are banged up. The Eagles coming into this game, 21 of 22 starters from opening day will be playing for the Eagles. That's not the case on the Niners. They're just trying to tape a football team out there.
Yeah, well, we've seen, Donnie, and we've told you all week long, the money coming in on the under. And we agree with it because we don't believe this is going to be some sort of wild shootout. We think the defenses and the time of possession are going to play a huge role in this game. But when you look at the data here, I mean, the Eagles, Donnie, and you know this, they're 4-4 against the number at home this year. That's not great. They have not really, and actually as a favorite over the last couple of years in the postseason, they haven't done a great job of covering. So the fact that this has grown to 4.5, if you think this is going to be a lower scoring game and a field goal wins it, the value now is on the 49ers. But I get why all the money is coming in on the Eagles for sure.
Also, Lane Johnson practiced yesterday, first time in a couple weeks here. The best right tackle in football would give that offensive line a boost, and maybe they could run the football. If you can't run against the 49ers and their front seven right now, I don't know who you're going to run the football up against. We'll see on Sunday, San Francisco and Philadelphia. Let's head over to Monday Night Football. That is the Houston Texans, a dome team, as Joe likes to point out, heading out to the cold and wind in Pittsburgh. 3.5 was this number hanging all week long until we saw a shift yesterday where we started to see threes. Now, every outlet I'm looking at right now, Joe, now listed at -3 as a favorite towards Houston, not for Pittsburgh, and a low total of 39.5. How about that?
Yeah, the total under 40 points. We get this. It'll be a typical, January evening in Pittsburgh there. It's going to be a lot colder. And we all know, listen, Houston has been fantastic. They are elite defensively. But a lot of that came from their ability to be able to play inside this year. This is a different animal. And more importantly, C.J. Stroud has had a couple of wins in a wild card round over the last couple of years, Donnie.
Yep.
But it's important to know that those were home inside. This is a totally different animal going into this spot with one of the most experienced quarterbacks that we've ever seen in the league. It feels like this is a great opportunity for Pittsburgh, at the very least, to keep this game close, because I don't trust the Houston offense. So if I can get 3.5, Donnie, I'm taking the 3.5 with Pittsburgh all day long.
Mike Tomlin loves himself some defense. Here's Tomlin actually talking about the Houston Texans defense here.
On the defensive side of the ball, they just got a kick butt unit. They do. They got a top flight edge tandem in Hunter and Anderson. They got a top flight corner tandem. I think they're number 1 in yards per game. They're in the top 5 in rush defense and pass defense, scoring, yards. And so certainly they've been top tier and elite in just about all areas all year with that group. That group sets the pace for them. They play with great energy and emotion. They play well as a collective. They have an appetite for rising up in moments. It just seems like every week you're seeing game-changing and game-deciding plays from their defense in terms of closing close ball games out. They make the necessary plays in weighty moments, really in all 3 phases. I think about a 3rd and 14, I think, versus Jacksonville, where Davis Mills scrambles into the corner of the end zone to give them a late win at home versus those guys, for example. But you don't get in this tournament unless you had your moments. You certainly don't win 9 straight unless you have continuity in complementary play. They're good in all 3 phases. I think about DeMeco Ryans when I watched their tape and how he played the game, and a tip of the cap to him. I think the Houston Texans play collectively the way that he did. They're tough and smart. They play to win.
How many cliches can we include in one clip, Joe? I think we got them all there, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a lot. But that's Tomlin laying it out there for everyone. They look good. They're great. They're elite. They're okay. Giving the coach prop. All right. Well, let's see. Pittsburgh could very well be pretty good in this game defensively as well.
How about news and notes around the NFL there? Las Vegas is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, Max Crosby. He got some cleanup surgery on his knee. Looking good right there, Joe. Flexing for the camera, laying back in the hospital bed saying year 8, going to be great.
Yeah. Likely not with Las Vegas, though, Don.
Oh,
we should probably throw that out there as well. Yeah, I doubt very much he is going to be there. Would he? I don't know.
Trades him. Look at that's 2 first-round picks you can get back. You could start a dynasty. You got your quarterback.
Yes.
You rebuild the right way. Where Tom Brady going to burn all that up at this point right now. Well, we'll find out shortly on that. More hot topics on the way. This is the Early Line. It's time, people. We got big-time football to talk about. College tonight, college tomorrow, NFL this weekend, and away we go. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. And here we have. And I know it says the guy's name wrong, and I don't know why we're calling him Adam Kaufman in the background here, but you know who he is. He's the Prime Minister. It's Cam Stewart. He's live with us. We got it corrected. We're here. The energy is high, and a big weekend on deck for us, Cam. Welcome in.
Welcome. I love the Patriots, and I love everything Boston. Hello, everyone. Just joking, Adam. Love you, buddy. Hey, how we doing? Welcome, guys. We got a lot of football coming up. Can't wait. Golf right around the corner. We got college football. We got pro football. And Donnie, what do we got tonight, pal? the old Philadelphia Flyers versus the Leafs.
Oh,
I
beautiful.
have something for you as Prime Minister. You know, we have like Florida Clementines versus a case of maple syrup. How about a scotch for Donnie and a nice cold Guinness for me if we ever meet each other again, Donnie? Donnie, friendly bet on the game. You get your Flyers and I get the Leafs.
Absolutely
Prime Minister
beautiful,
versus
Cam.
President.
Look at that.
Yes.
We got the Fly Boys playing tonight. Maybe a big Zagreus night for the boys out here in the streets. But also, Cam, we love this because the Buffalo Bills have a monster game this weekend. It seems like the narrative now is if Josh Allen can't get it done this year, he's never going to get it done. No Lamar Jackson out there, no Patrick Mahomes. But the Buffalo Bills are the favorite here, Cam, to take on Jacksonville. The higher-seeded team is Buffalo. The lower-seeded team, or should I say in reverse, is Jacksonville. Do you agree they should be a favorite? Also, Cam, what are we seeing here? Buffalo Jags this weekend.
This is one of the toughest games on the board, Donnie. I got to be honest with you. I like a lot of the other games better. I like what Joe said, too. Everybody's on Houston. I may could take a shot with Pitt if I can get that hook, but I'm on Buffalo. I expect this game to be a track meet, guys, but I'll tell you, the Jacksonville Jaguars are a team you don't want to play. Trevor Lawrence looks like an absolute beast right now. That defense is good, but basically what Buffalo has to do, James Cook has to be a huge part of this game and open things up. Allen can't freak out. He's just got to do his thing, don't force the ball, and just march down the field and get things done. I'm expecting a back-and-forth battle. I really worry about that Buffalo run defense, guys, and their defense in general. But if Buffalo's going to be in this game, they're going to have to score points and be in a track meet. But I think the Bills finally do squeak it out. Jacksonville, we've been on them a lot, guys, versus Denver. Like, we got this hot streak, but now or never, Buffalo. I got to tell you, man, too, it's what do we got? Wright's kicking now, too? If they have to set up for a game-winning field goal with Matthew Wright here, spaghetti-o. We could have some big, big problems here, but I'm taking the Bills in that spot. Guys, actually, a game that I like, I'm not sure how you feel about this. I like the Chargers-Patriots under, if that makes any sense. It's a game, I'm looking at the under in this spot. I think there's going to be more defense. Obviously, I think the Chargers defense steps up, and I think they're going to try to grind it on the ground against New England. And I think that game doesn't get over 47. Rams look pretty good to me, Donnie. I don't know how you guys feel about that big spread. I think they kicked the crap out of Carolina. Also a revenge spot from a loss in the regular season. And I like the Packers. I know they get another chance. They've looked awful with all their injuries. But I'm telling you, watching that Lions game, they exploited the Bears with slant patterns, a lot of quick hitters. And I think Green Bay could do the same. So that's what I'm looking at, guys, right now. But Donnie, I'm on the Bills, but let's just say this. Hold your breath because it's not going to be easy for these guys. Tough matchup versus the Jags.
I think they roll them, Cam. I think experience matters. They're going to roll them.
What is going on here?
Over by a half.
Wow, I didn't see that
by
one coming.
million. Bills by a million. Let me ask you this, Cam. If there is going to be an upset in this wild card weekend here, who would be the one team to win outright as a dog here? Who would you lean towards?
Great question, Joe. I'm going to say the Chargers. I think the Chargers can beat the Patriots. And 1B, the Niners. Donnie, I know you're going to want to cut the Prime Minister's mic. He's gone. Bye.
Exactly.
Nice seeing you guys. Enjoy
Pay your bills, Cam. Looks like Cam didn't pay his bills.
He's gone. Anyway, I'm just saying, I don't like what I seen from Philadelphia, but for me, it's the Chargers. New England's still a team. I think they can be exploited. I'm not really sold on their defense. I know Vrabel's a good coach, but I expect Harbaugh to come up with a game plan, grind it out, field position battle. Also, we get a little bit more time for Herbert to get healthy in this game. So I know the Chargers are probably a popular dog, but I'm going to say Joe's might be onto something, though. I don't know one person, guys, on this network or other shows that we've done that is taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's a very dangerous game that we're playing with everybody on Houston. So something to look at as well. I think the San Francisco 49ers can hang, Donnie, and I think if the Eagles win, it's by a very, very close margin. That lines up to 4.5. But for me, I'd have to say Chargers.